everyone. Fear rarely shows up as a monster crashing through your life. It doesn't roar. It doesn't knock you over. No, fear is smarter than that. It whispers quietly, slowly, in a voice that sounds like your own. It tells you to wait. It tells you it's not the right time. It makes you second guess yourself when no one's watching. You'll hear it say, "You're not ready." Or worse, "Who do you think you are?" And because it's subtle, because it doesn't come with sirens, you believe it. You make excuses that sound responsible. "I'll do it when I'm more confident, when I've saved more, when things calm down." But deep down, you know it's not timing. It's fear dressed as logic. It convinces you to shrink your dreams into something more acceptable, something safer. You don't notice it happening. You turn down an opportunity not because you can't do it, but because your mind tells you might fail. You delay writing that book, applying for that job, starting that business, not because you're lazy, but because fear whispers, "What if they laugh?" You avoid the risk. You call it patience, but fear's got you locked in a silent grip. It's not holding you back by force. It's simply reminding you softly and persistently of every time you failed, of every reason you shouldn't try again. And you listen not because you're weak, but because fear is clever. Let me tell you something real. The most confident looking people you admire, the artists, the entrepreneurs, the leaders, they hear those whispers too. They feel the fear. The only difference is they've learned to recognize its voice. They hear it and still move. They know fear is a liar, a storyteller, a master of disguise. So they stop letting whispers guide their choices. They decide. They speak when their voice shakes. They act when their hands tremble. They push forward even when every part of them wants to run. Because the secret is this: you don't need fear to be gone. You just need to stop letting it drive the car. Here's what fear doesn't expect: for you to respond, for you to speak louder, for you to hear its whisper and answer back, "I'm doing it anyway." It never plans for that. It expects obedience, silence, hesitation. But the moment you talk back, the moment you call it out for what it is, the volume shifts. Fear loses its power the moment you name it, the moment you say, "This isn't truth." This is doubt, insecurity, habit, but it's not me. That's when you start gaining ground. That's when you stop existing and start living, because you realize fear might whisper, but courage doesn't need to shout. It just needs to move. You don't lose yourself in one big moment. Fear doesn't come in with a wrecking ball and destroy your potential all at once. It takes its time. It chips away slowly, a missed chance here, a delayed decision there. You pass on the presentation at work because someone else is better. You stay quiet when you should have spoken up because what if I'm wrong? One day you say no to a dream because it feels too far, and it seems small, harmless even. But every time you listen to fear's lie, you give away a piece of your power. One decision at a time, your light starts to dim, not because you didn't have what it takes, but because fear told you not to try. At first you don't notice the damage. You still feel motivated, still think about the goals you want. But they start to feel distant, like maybe they were never meant for you. You see other people chasing dreams and succeeding, and that whisper returns, "That's not you. That's them." So you settle. You lower the bar, shrink your vision. You start calling fear realism. You say, "I'm just being practical," but what's really happening is this: your future is being traded for temporary comfort. And it's subtle. You don't feel the loss all at once, but 5 years pass and you wonder where that fire inside you went. It didn't disappear. It was buried under fear's slow erosion. Think about all the people you know with gifts: writers who don't write, leaders who don't lead, visionaries who don't build. It's not because they don't want to, it's because fear slowly convinced them not to believe. It's not always loud rejection that stops greatness. Most of the time it's quiet surrender. Fear says, "Take the easy road," and the easy road feels good for a while. But deep down, your soul knows you were meant for more. That quiet unrest you feel, that frustration with life standing still, that's the fire under the ashes. The parts of you that are still alive, still waiting, even if they've been ignored for years. You need to see this clearly. Every excuse fear gives you is a small door closing. And every time you agree with it, your world gets a little smaller. That's how fear steals your potential, not all at once, but piece by piece, till the life you settle for becomes the one you resent. But here's the good news: you can take it back. You can reclaim every part. The courage you forgot, the energy you thought was gone, it's still there. Waiting. Fear may have taken the first steps, but it doesn't get to write the ending unless you let it. The moment you act in spite of fear, you start rebuilding what it tried to erase. When everything falls apart, it's easy to think life is punishing you. You lose your job, a relationship ends, your plans collapse, and suddenly you're standing in the middle of emotional fire, raw, exposed, uncertain. Most people panic. They ask, why me? They try to run, escape, numb the pain. But what if the fire isn't your enemy? What if it's your awakening? Because fire doesn't just destroy, it reveals. It strips away what's fake, what's weak, what was never meant to last. It leaves you face to face with yourself, not the version you show the world, but the real you. And that moment, painful as it is where rebirth begins. When everything falls apart, it's easy to think life is punishing you. You lose your job, a relationship ends, your plans collapse, and suddenly you're standing in the middle of emotional fire, raw, exposed, uncertain. Most people panic. They ask, why me? They try to run, escape, numb the pain. But what if the fire isn't your enemy? What if it's your awakening? Because fire doesn't just destroy, it reveals. It strips away what's fake, what's weak, what was never meant to last. It leaves you face to face with yourself, not the version you show the world, but the real you. And that moment, painful as it is where rebirth begins. Think about the legends we admire, the underdogs, the warriors, the leaders who rose from nothing. They didn't find greatness in peaceful moments. They found it in storms, in betrayal, in heartbreak, in failure. Their fire became their fuel. The struggle became their story. They didn't just survive it, they used it. Because the fire taught them something ease never could, that pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you real, and that realness, that raw, battle-tested strength is what separates the inspired from the average. Not everyone makes it through the fire, but those who do, they walk out different. Scarred maybe, but sharper, wiser, ready. The next time life sets a fire in your path, don't run from it, don't curse it, walk through it with open eyes. Ask, what am I being shown? Let it burn off the lies you believed about yourself. Let it break the boxes you've been living in. And as you walk through, you'll feel something shift. You're not who you were when the flames started. You're stronger, you're focused, you're clear. And you finally understand the fire wasn't here to break you. It was here to wake you up, to light something inside you that comfort never could, and now that fire burns in you. You might believe that the best version of yourself will emerge when life is smooth, when everything falls into place, when the pieces just fit. But that's not how it works. The real you, the version of yourself capable of greatness, doesn't come from moments of ease. It's forged in struggle. It's created in the very fire you try to avoid. Think about it. When everything is easy, you don't grow. You don't discover what you're truly made of. It's when you're pushed to your limits, when everything feels impossible, that you finally break through to the strength that's always been inside of you. Struggle forces you to dig deeper, to become more than you were yesterday, and that's when your real potential emerges. Life's struggles don't show you who you are, they reveal who you can be. That's what people miss. We get caught up in asking, why me, instead of asking, what is this teaching me? Every setback, every hardship is a lesson in resilience. It's an opportunity to build endurance, patience, and most importantly, character. Strength doesn't come from avoiding life's challenges. It comes from facing them head on, from refusing to stay down after every fall, from showing up even when you don't feel like it. The people we admire aren't the ones who had an easy path. They're the ones who turned pain into purpose. Struggle molds you, shapes you, and prepares you for what you're destined to become. Think about the greatest achievements in history. The most iconic stories of success were never about people who were handed the world on a silver platter. They were about those who fought through adversity, learned from their failures, and kept moving forward even when there was no clear victory in sight. Struggle doesn't break you unless you let it. The true test of strength is how you rise after being knocked down. If you choose to let struggle define you, you'll remain stuck in the victim's mindset. But if you choose to let it shape you, you'll discover an unbreakable spirit. You'll realize that your strength was never dependent on the circumstances. It was always there, waiting to be unlocked by the pressure of the fight. You see, growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens when you're uncomfortable. It happens when you push beyond what you thought were your limits. Struggle brings out parts of you that were buried deep, parts you didn't even know existed. Every challenge forces you to adapt, to evolve. And when you look back at the battles you fought, you'll see that the person you've become was made through those struggles. You'll see that the scars you carry aren't marks of defeat. They're the proof that you were in the ring fighting for your future. And that's when you realize struggle didn't steal your peace, it gave you the power to transform your life. Courage isn't about being fearless. If you're waiting for the moment when you're no longer afraid, you might be waiting forever. Fear is a part of life. It will always show up in one form or another. But here's the secret: courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. It's taking the next step even when your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, and your mind is screaming at you to stop. Courage means you don't need to feel brave to act. You just need to decide that fear won't control you. You keep moving even when the unknown feels terrifying, because you know that growth, success, and progress never happen in the comfort zone. They happen in the moments when you choose to rise in spite of fear. Every great accomplishment, every breakthrough moment has one thing in common: someone at some point was scared. And yet they moved, they acted despite their fear. Think of the times you were faced with an opportunity that seemed too big, too overwhelming. Fear told you can't do this, it's too risky, but deep down something else, something stronger pushed you to take the first step. It wasn't a lack of fear, but the decision to move with it, to acknowledge its presence and keep going anyway. That's the defining moment between those who wait and those who win. Fear is always there. It's the courage to keep going even when it's loudest that makes the difference. If you wait for fear to disappear before you act, you might wait your whole life. Fear won't ever fully disappear, but its grip loosens when you stop running from it. The more you face it, the more you prove to yourself that it can't hold you back. The most successful people didn't wait for fear to vanish. They took the first step in spite of it. And once they started moving, they built momentum. The more they moved, the more they realized that the fear was never as powerful as they thought. It was just a shadow, a part of the process. The real strength came when they stopped fearing the fear itself and started trusting the process of moving forward. Courage is what pushes you to step into the unknown even when the road is unclear. It's not about blind confidence or pretending that everything will work out. It's about making a choice to trust yourself, to trust that you have what it takes to figure it out, to adapt, to learn. You might not know how things will unfold, but you trust that each step will reveal the next. Courage doesn't require certainty. It requires faith. The faith to move forward, knowing that even though you're terrified, you're not alone. You're not unprepared. You're stronger than you think, and that strength comes from acting despite fear. It comes from proving with each step that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. On the other side of fear lies your highest self, the version of you that you've been searching for, the one that feels unreachable in your moments of doubt. You know who I'm talking about, the person you dream of becoming, the one who lives with confidence, purpose, and passion. But here's the truth: that person doesn't emerge through comfort or ease. They emerge when you face fear head-on and walk through it step by trembling step. Every single time you choose courage over hesitation, you're peeling back another layer that was keeping you from reaching your potential. And the more you walk, the more you shed the versions of yourself that doubt, that hesitate, that fear, and the more you step into the person you were always meant to be. Fear tries to convince you that you're not ready, that you don't have what it takes. It feeds you stories of failure, of inadequacy, and of weakness, but none of that is truth. The fear you feel is a veil, a thick fog that clouds your vision and keeps you from seeing the strength you already have. The real you is not the one who hesitates. It's not the one who runs from challenges or doubts their ability to succeed. The real you is the one who gets back up after every fall. The one who takes risks despite the unknown. The one who trusts themselves to handle whatever comes next. And when you face your fear, instead of avoiding it, you break through to the highest version of yourself. That person has always been there, just waiting for you to decide that you are worthy of greatness. But you'll never reach your highest self if you keep running from fear. Fear will always be there in every new challenge, in every opportunity for growth. But here's the catch: you can't wait for fear to go away. It won't. You don't overcome fear by wishing it away or hoping it disappears. You overcome fear by doing the very thing that scares you. Each time you walk through a moment of fear, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. And with each small victory, your highest self gets closer. Fear is not a barrier, it's a gateway. It's a sign that you are on the right path and that you are about to learn something new about yourself that will shape your future. The journey to your highest self is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about taking steps, no matter how small, toward the person you are meant to be. When you let fear control your actions, you stay stuck in the past. You stay in that place where everything feels safe, but nothing ever changes. Growth requires risk. It requires discomfort. It requires you to go to places you've never been, to face things you've never faced, and to trust that you will come out stronger. Every time you let fear stop you, you stay locked in a version of yourself that is afraid to fail. But the person you are meant to become, the one that is bold, fearless, and unstoppable, is on the other side of that fear. You only need to take the first step. Think about all the things you've avoided because of fear, the projects you never started, the dreams you never chased, the conversations you never had. But imagine if you had chosen to move forward anyway. Imagine if you had trusted yourself in those moments of fear instead of allowing the fear to hold you back. What would your life look like today? Who would you be now? Fear keeps us from living our fullest lives, from stepping into the person we were always meant to be. But it doesn't have to control you. Every time you face fear, you move closer to the real you. The version of yourself that is powerful, confident, and capable, that version is just waiting for you to make the decision to step into it. This journey isn't easy and it's not quick, but it's worth it. The road to your highest self is paved with challenges, setbacks, and struggles, but it's also filled with growth, achievement, and pride. Every time you face fear, you get stronger. Every time you push through a barrier, you build resilience. And as you continue to show up for yourself, no matter how hard it gets, you begin to realize that fear no longer controls you. You start to realize that fear is just a signal, a sign that you're on the edge of something great, something that will change your life. And when you embrace it instead of running from it, you unlock a version of yourself that is unstoppable. As you face your fear, you'll also find that it becomes quieter over time. The more you stand up to it, the less power it has over you. It becomes something you walk with, not something that drags you down. The version of you that rises from the ashes of fear is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you ever imagined. You've done the work, you've faced the challenges, you've pushed past the doubts. And now your highest self is not a distant dream, it's the person you are becoming every single day. Fear doesn't disappear, but you become bigger than it. And on the other side of it, you'll find a life that's more vibrant, more fulfilling, and more aligned with who you were always meant to be. So let fear be your guide, not your enemy. Let it show you where you need to grow, where you need to stretch, where you need to rise. On the other side of fear is everything you've ever wanted, everything you've ever dreamed of. It's the best version of yourself waiting to be discovered. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing to take the step forward, even when fear is in your path. Because on the other side of that step is your highest self standing tall, unshakable, and ready to conquer the world.